Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. And there's been very much criticism over Labour policy on taxation of non-DOMs. Non-DOMs are there for a reason. The whole system exists to encourage investment. A non-DOM comes into the country, invests, builds, creates jobs, but can only stay in the country for so long. But they're rich people. They tend not to stay in the country anyway. But here's the thing, when they do come in and they make their investment, it's beneficial to the country. And so long as they don't spend more than 180 days in the country, they are deemed to be non-dom for tax and they don't pay any tax in Britain. That's fine if they're contributing by investment, which they are. Since Rachel Reeves come in and said, right, all you non-doms are going to start paying taxes, 10% of all non-doms have gone, no we're not. They've packed up, they've left, and they've taken their money with them. A report titled UK Non-DOMs Tax Reform, A Critique and Retrospective Analysis, sounds like a cracking read, estimates that so far 26,000 non-DOMs out of the 238,000 who claim non-DOM status have already left. And that more are going, and the rate at which they're leaving is accelerating. Data from the CEBR says that if 25% of non-DOMs were to leave the UK, the net gain for the Treasury would be zero. In other words, the money raised by taxing non-DOMs would be wiped out if just 25% of them leave. Already 10% have, and they're still going, and they're accelerating. So I estimate 25% by Christmas. Therefore, taxing non-DOMs is now going to cost the people of this country money. Hey, who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought basic economics would be way too much for an economist of the genius that is Rachel Reeves? You put tax up, you get less tax. It's not hard to understand, is it? The report also points out that the government based the policy on over-optimistic and incomplete analysis. That's the polite way of saying they guessed. They only examined the behavioural response from long-term resident non-DOMs who were always likely to have a greater attachment to the UK rather than people who'd approached, and come in and gone. But that non-DOM, long-term non-DOM status represents 0.37% of non-DOMs. It's no wonder it all went a bit Pete Tong, isn't it? The OBR ascribed a very high uncertainty rating to their tax revenue costings. In other words, the OBR also said, we're not sure if these numbers are correct, meaning these numbers are not correct. And the government didn't factor in international competition. In other words, other countries seeing the non-DOMs flee went, if you come here, we'll give you a reduced tax status. Come over here. And they encouraged them to go, and they did. And a lot of them went to places, for example, Portugal or the UAE and things like that. Many of them died at Dubai. What's great about Dubai? Well, it's nice and warm, I suppose. But what's those two things that rich people like? Two words, very important words. Tax-free. Chris Walker, founder of CW Economics, said, it is clear that the original research that underpinned the government's decision to abolish non-DOM status took a leap of faith. Its methodology around predicting behavioural changes was too narrow, and that led to very optimistic findings. Let me tell you that that's bullshit. Because there was no research, there was no thinking. It was just, let's tax them. If there was a thought at all, it would be that perhaps if we tax them, they'll leave. That will make Britain poorer and worse off. Yeah, that's what we want, because we are in it to destroy Britain, because that's all this government is doing. Laugh a curve, anyone? Thanks a lot. Bye.